All right, so I have this big pile of basil behind me, and this is all has to be processed today. So some of it I'm gonna take with me. I'm gonna make pesto from all of it. I'll show you how. And then some of it will go with me to the farmer's market tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be able to sell some. I always sell a lot of pesto, so that'll be great. And then the rest of it is going to go to the freezer, and we'll eat it, through the year until next summer when I have more fresh basil in the garden. But this is the main way that I preserve basil, by making pesto. So I'm gonna go inside, haul all of this with me, and probably go watch my favorite show for an hour or whatever, and just pluck some basil leaves and clean this. I cannot use um, the flowers, so I'm only going to get the leaves off, and that's the part that I'm going to use. I'm back in my kitchen, and I'm going to process all of these basil leaves into pesto. I'm going to use almonds instead of pine nuts. Originally or traditionally, you make pesto with pine nuts. Pine nuts are very expensive, so to cut the cost a little bit, I'm using almonds instead of pine nuts. I personally almost don't feel any difference between them, but if you want to use pine nuts, you can still do the same recipe that I'm sharing with you here today with pine nuts. You can even try to do walnuts if you want. It's really, I'll show you the basic recipe or how I do it, but if you want to add a little bit more cheese, go ahead. If you want to add walnuts instead of almonds, go ahead. You can play with it a little bit. This is such an easy and fun way to preserve basil, and really the main way for me to do it. So let's go over what we're going to need here. I got a lot of everything because you can see over there I got a huge amount of basil to turn into pesto today, but I'll give you the measurements for just one big bowl of food, my food processor. So this is a 14-cup food processor, and I will link below to the recipe on the blog in case you need a little bit of a different measurements, or if you want to look at the step-by-step picture tutorial or print the recipe. So that will be below. I have a whole lot of Parmesan cheese and some almond flour. If you want to use whole almonds, that's fine. You just put them in the food processor and you pulse it a few times before you add the rest of the stuff, just to crush them. But I'm just going to make it a little bit easier on myself by using almond flour, which really you can get in any grocery store. It's not something that is hard to come by. I peeled some garlic cloves, so I have plenty of them here, and I got salt and pepper. That's all the seasonings we're going to need, and we need a lot of olive oil because pesto has a lot of olive oil, so make sure you have olive oil. And then we need half a cup measuring cup and 1 teaspoon measuring spoon. I am going, usually when I make it just for us, I use mason jars, half a pint mason jars, to store my pesto in, and if I need to freeze it, then I just use the freezer lids and I freeze it in the mason jars. But because I'm taking some of it to the farmer's market and there is a really bad shortage of mason jars right now, I'm gonna use these cute little snack cups, which I found at Walmart, and I think like a bag of 25 of them is $2.50 or something like that. So that's a really good alternative. I'm not sure how well they will do in the freezer. The plastic might crack, but what I do is for the farmer's market and for us too, I will cover it I'll show you in a minute. And then I wrap it with plastic food wrap and I put it in the freezer this way. So maybe the plastic food wrap will help kind of keep the container in better shape. I don't know, this is just a new thing that I started doing. I do usually store my pesto in a mason jar, but it doesn't matter what kind of container you use, just make sure you have something to put it in. And then of course, I have my basil leaves. So I'm working in batches. I did not wash all of this yet, but this is washed and it is in flour sack towel because I put it in a big bowl of water. Just soak it in cold water, shake it, move it around a little bit to get all the little dead flowers off of the leaves and all of this stuff. And then I scoop it up, I put it, I line another bowl with the flour sack towels, which I have a lot in my kitchen. I also use them as cheesecloth because they're really great for a lot of things. And then I put the basil leaves in there and I gather the towel and I go outside and I spin the I spin the towel with the leaves. And I guess you can call it a poor man's salad spinner or whatever. But the main point that I'm trying to make here is that you want your leaves dry, okay? If you have a salad spinner, stick them in there and spin it. You just want to make sure that they are as dry as you can get them to be. If you don't have a salad spinner, then that's a good workaround for that. So we're going to start just putting things in the food processor, and I'll show you how easy it is to make pesto with almonds. So the first thing that is going inside are the leaves. I don't pack them too much, but I do fill the food processor as much as I can, kind of all the way to the top. That's good enough. And again, you can work with, change the amounts however you want. I usually do about 3 good-sized cloves of garlic. Maybe I'll add another little one. So 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. And then half a cup of almond flour, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, and some salt and pepper to taste. I probably have about a teaspoon of salt and maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. All right, I cannot give you the measurement for the olive oil because it just depends on how runny or how thick you like your pesto. What I'm going to do is turn this on, and as the food processor is working, I'm going to add olive oil until I feel that it is pretty much the consistency that I want it to be. We're going to stop then and then check and taste it, make sure it tastes good. If we need to correct seasoning, we can do that. And then it goes into the little boxes, little containers. So let's start by just turning the food processor on, and I will be adding olive oil as it goes. We can open it and use a spoon just to make sure everything got processed pretty well. No big chunks of garlic or anything like that. And let me taste it. Right. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more of olive oil. some of it in. I like my pesto pretty thick, not so thin and runny with oil. So I hope you can see how it looks. So I just fill it, and as I fill it, I make sure that I have no air bubbles here in the around the inside of the container, because basil, it does oxidize and it will turn black where it touches air. It's not a big deal, it doesn't change the taste or anything, but just to make sure that it kind of looks nice, especially if I sell it at the farmer's market, you know, I do want it to look nice. So I make sure to remove any air bubbles that I have here. And then I kind of smooth the top. I leave a little bit of room, and again, so it doesn't touch the air and turn black, I cover it with a thin layer of olive oil. I close the container, and that's it. I will wrap this with plastic food wrap, and this amount that we did here probably will make 2 more of these snack cups. I can store it in the freezer for a very long time, a year, 18 months even. It will last us very much until the next summer when we have fresh basil in the garden again. And I use it, you know, on sandwiches to make pasta sauce, for pasta salad. Sometimes I'll make pizza with pesto instead of tomato sauce and some feta cheese or goat cheese on it. There's so many uses for it, and you can make chicken, you know, chicken with pesto. There's so many uses for it, and I love it. Done with almonds, it cuts on the cost quite considerably, you know, and it's just as good. So that is all there is to it. Really, if you want to add more garlic, less garlic, more salt, less salt, more black pepper, less black pepper, whatever you want to do, you can just play with it and find the recipe that is exactly to your taste. However, I will post and link to the recipe on the blog in case you want to print something, so you have something to go by. That's it, you guys. I hope you like this video, and I will see you again in the next one. Please subscribe and like and share, and we'll see you soon.